Hey, you got a package in, man.
Oh, sweet. Where's it from?
5501 Communications Parkway in Sarasota, Florida.
That can only mean one thing.
CGC. Let's do a box opening.
Let's check it out.
We really actually know what this comic is, clearly, because we got the shipping indication when it was getting sent out. But we thought it'd be a great example for a show to do for a question a lot of people ask. You'll see it on every forum, every subreddit dealing with comics, collecting, and grading. The question people always ask is, should I get this graded, right? So what do we have here? Yeah, so for those that aren't familiar with this cover, this is Spider-Gwen, number 24. This is a 9.8 crispy. Well, not a 9.9 or a 10, but...
This is, if you didn't know, the first time Spider-Gwen becomes venomized.
This is actually an exclusive cover, right? This
Yeah.
isn't
This is a Scott
This is
Campbell
not
cover.
one of the regular A, B, or B covers. This is a Scott Campbell exclusive, right? Did you get this from his website?
Yeah, so this is actually the very first book that I bought when the pandemic started. That got me back into comics.
Was just buying this from his website?
No, I bought it on eBay.
Oh, raw. You
Yeah,
bought it
I
raw
bought it
on
raw,
eBay.
yeah.
We'll have to do a whole other show about
that.
taking the raw gamble, but
Yeah, so I bought it raw back in the day. It was already signed by Campbell. It had a letter of authenticity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the one that got me started, and it just kind of sat in my collection. I just really love the cover, right? But for this topic, right, we're talking about getting this thing graded, and it coming back with this green label from CGC.
yeah, and that's a big topic in the community. It is somewhat annoying that CGC gives you these green labels, particularly for books that have a certificate of authenticity. However, there's some pretty janky certificates of authenticity out there, so I do get it. I do get it from that sense. Should throw out there that there are other grading agencies who will verify signatures.
CBCS does that.
I haven't actually done that with CBCS. I'm probably going to in the future just to try it out. However, it's $50 additional per book, and I have other stuff to buy right now. So I think on the topic of a green label, it brings up the question of should you get it graded, right? First, there's varying green labels, right? You have these two. These are just for signatures.
Right.
Should I get this book graded? I didn't get this book graded to sell it. I got this book graded because I had it signed by Adam Hughes in person the last time he was here at a convention. I remember searching up and down for this Dirty Pair cover, and I remember taking it to him to get it signed.
Right.
I can remember the standing in line. I can remember the entire experience. I'm never going to read this book again. This book is just for the cover, just because I collect Adam Hughes covers.
Your own PC.
It's for me to look at.
Go in your grave.
And now it's safe and secure and easier to display. And I knew it was going to get a green label, so for me, that green label wasn't an issue on this book.
Right.
I think the other green labels that you should talk about, or we should talk about, are outside of signatures. There's a big section of green labels out there.
Right. Here's a common one.
This is probably the most common one. It's probably the one that keeps its value better than any other book,
Right.
even with the green label.
Right. So this is a Hulk 181. You probably all know about this one, right?
No, what happens?
First full appearance of Wolverine. But a common thing with these books is that there's a little stamp coupon inside that gets cut out. Back in the 70s, right? It's 74. You're a kid. You're like, oh, I want to cut these out because they tell you in the book to cut them out.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you get it graded, it also gets the same green label, but it just says like there's a piece missing
Yeah.
inside the book, right?
There's one major defect, right? That's what CGC is saying. This book would be a 9.0, all other things considered, but there's one major defect to it. That's really what this green label says also, right? It's saying this book would be a 9.2, but the front of it, Adam Hughes decided to deface with a marker, so it's now a qualified grade.
Right.
What you have to realize with these, the 181 again is in a different class. When it comes to signed books, if you are getting a book graded to resale, you don't want a green label. You're
losing money.
You're gonna lose money. You're gonna take a huge hit. It's gonna sell for half or more of a regular book.
Right.
A lot of times, of a regular blue label. And
nice.
certainly you're not getting yellow label prices. Like you're not getting actual signed book prices.
Right.
181, however, is in kind of a special class. The green label is going to sell for less, but there's so many
Right.
that had the stamp cut out. It still demands a premium for sure.
So when you get a verified signature, right, off of through CGC, right? So how that works is somebody signed this book and one of their employees verified that the person who was signing it was that person, right?
They witnessed it.
They witnessed it, and then they basically take over that book so no other person touches it, and then they slab it and they grade it, right? That's how you get that verified signature yellow label, right? It's a lot more work, right? And you have to be at a spot where they're at, or in this case, for this book on the left, or this last Ronin, right? They're doing a bunch of in-house signatures, right? So you ship them their book, you ship them your book, and then the artist is already at their facility signing it, right? So they know it's verified because they're there, at their facility.
There's a whole risk to that. Do you sell that Venom?
Yeah, let me look at that.
So here's one of the risks with CGC. There's always a risk because you're sending your books off to them. They hold it in a magical case somewhere. I don't even know where they put them once they get there. And then they get it signed, and then it goes to grading, and then it'll come back to you.
Right. So this book here, as you can see, it's what is this? Venom 3, right? Yeah, it's like the third print. First appearance in Null, especially even on cover. I had this book. It was already graded, so I shipped it to them in a blue label. It was a 9.6, and they did all their work. They got the signature on there. They graded it and they shipped it back, and it came back at a lower grade, right? So it's not guaranteed. So there's always risk involved in terms of getting a signature.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen to your book. Who signed this one? Donnie Cates?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know if Cates is going to put a spine tick on it when he opens the cover. Like, who knows what they'll do. And so that's a risk you take.
Right. So I definitely lost money on this book, right, in terms of an investment standpoint, where I bought this at a 9.6. I spent extra money getting it signed.
Did you get it pressed?
Yeah, I got it signed, I got it pressed, I got it sketched, right? I got it re-slabbed. And then I added the extra label.
The special label?
Special label, right? And so after all of that, this money is this book is in the hole, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely lost money on this, but this is something in terms of my personal collection, right? That's the whole value. It wasn't really how much I spent on this book, but what this book means to me and the uniqueness of it for my collection, right? Like I had him, he did, I don't know if you guys can see, but he did exactly what I wanted in terms of putting a little sketch on there. It's a little Venom head in his palm, right, where he's dead. And that meant more to me in terms of getting that versus risking if this was going to come back a lower grade and losing money on it, because I already knew I was going to lose money on it at that grade right after taking a grade bump. And it's really all about, should I get something slabbed with a yellow label versus a green label in terms of value personally or monetary value, right? And so like another example I have right here is this book. It's a Saga #1. I've had this in my collection forever. Who does this book? Fiona Staples and I think Vaughn, right? Yeah. Brian Vaughn does the story. But this was the very first Denver Comic Con, and Fiona Staples was there. She does all the interior art. but she actually did a full sketch panel on the back for me when we were there, and she was there.
Sweet.
Yeah. And so this thing, like, regardless if I got it graded or what it came back, I was never gonna sell this book. This is gonna be with me in my collection forever, right? So the monetary value wasn't necessarily getting that green label, because if it was a yellow label, it'd be way more, worth way more, right? Especially at a 9.8. But me personally, is worth more than any kind of dollar value. I would never sell this book, right?
Would you have bought this from someone else?
Like if it was a green label.
If it was a green label and you didn't own it, would you buy it? I only ask that because I don't think I would. I've seen like other green labels and I've thought about it, and then it's like I don't have that personal connection to it.
Right.
There are some where I might do it. There was an Adam Hughes one I almost bought. I can't even remember what cover it was, and it was a green label. And I thought about it, but then it was just like I don't really want to pay this person's premium for this book
Extra, right?
just because Adam signed it.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't, just because, like, in terms of flipping or personal collection, right? Personal collection has meaning to me personally, right? If I had this signed and it was green label and I didn't know where the story behind this, right? There's no extra meaning. I would just buy a regular blue label 9.8, right? I wasn't there to witness it, right? Or I didn't get anything specifically done or that I asked for, right? So like even on this this Ronin, right? I specifically asked, what's his
Eastman.
name? Yeah, Eastman, to like, hey, put the 3 living turtles on there, right? In specific colors, and like do it exactly as I would ask him if I was at a convention, right?
Side note, I asked him to do that and he gave me 1 turtle. And that's why I sold my remark.
That you got a premium
last
for,
Ronin.
right?
That I did get a premium for. However, if it had the 3 turtle heads like I asked for, Kevin Eastman, I probably would have kept it.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think the worst part is they were in the same group. We sent them at the same time.
Yeah.
And he did it on one book and not on the other one.
I must have been first, Ken. He's like, that's just too much drawing.
It is true too, because it came back like a month before mine did.
Yeah,
like how did I send in 2 books out of the same group and one comes back a month after the other? I even got like CGC's apology letter, like, sorry, we had so many Eastman books, we couldn't do it. Anyways, side note.
Yeah, so it's really about what you're trying to, what it means to you, right? Are you trying to flip something that's worth more because it's signed by somebody related to the book, right? Or is it for your own personal collection? I personally wouldn't buy anything signed that I didn't already own myself or get it signed, right?
I think the question there is, and maybe we should do this for an episode, should take what the purchase price is of a green label on eBay, crack it, send it to CBCS, and see if you can recoup money as a verified signature.
Oh yeah.
The problem is that book has to be good, right? Because you're paying at least $70 to $80 in the entire exchange, so it's got to be something that retails for like $300 plus to make it worth it.
It won't be this one.
Yeah. Well, that's a future episode maybe sometime. But yeah, to answer the question of should you get it graded, the real question as far as green labels go is what are you doing with it?
Right.
If you're reselling, no, you should not. You're just not going to get the value out of that investment at that point.
Someone's going to see your green label and see a yellow label, and they're going to like, well, if I'm already paying for this book, why am I not just buying it one that's been verified, right, and it has better resale value in the future?
And there's always the question.
Right.
Right? There's always the question on the green label is it a legit signature?
Right.
Again, like I know this is legit. I was there. I sat there in front of Adam. I watched him sign it along with a stack of other books.
I stood in line for 2 hours.
Yeah. And I'll get all of them graded at one point. This is just the first one I sent in. And I'll get all of those books. I had him signed graded. And I know I've looked at some of them still. They're going to come back as 9 or less maybe. But it's really like, I'm not reading those Wonder Womans.
Right.
Like I bought them for the Adam Hughes cover. That's not true. I still collect Wonder Woman, but it's for my collection for me to keep in view. And so it's worth it to me on that front to get a green label. I don't think I would otherwise.
Yeah.
It'd have to be like a really special book. Maybe if it was someone whose certificate of authenticity you can really believe in, like Dynamic Forces.
Or directly from somebody's website.
Yeah, for like the Camel book,
right,
that comes with his certificate. and the only way to get that book is signed by Campbell from his website, that's a little bit different. I would probably buy that as a green label book. Like if I wanted this book,
yeah,
I would buy that already graded. I would not pay you yellow label price for it though.
Right.
That's would not happen.
I would pay you 9.8 prices.
9.8 raw.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd add on the $20 since you paid to get it graded.
That's fair.
I'll help you recoup the cost on that, but yeah.
Right.
Not paying you a premium for it.
Right. Because that's just the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you look at two of these books side by side and you see them, right, you're not paying the same price as something that has a yellow label versus a green label at the same price. Yep, fair enough.
For sure. I think, I sent a stack of blues, right? I sent all these stacks of Daredevil. Mm-hmm. This is 4 copies of the same book, right? Daredevil number 25. This book came out like 2 months ago. It came out in like March. But it's all 4 covers, right? Every single version of this cover. Why? Because I love Daredevil. I wanted these to display. I'm not reading all 4 copies of this book over and over. For those of you who haven't read Zdarsky's Daredevil, you should be reading this book. He's knocking it out of the park on Daredevil. But I wanted these covers. This is when Elektra takes over as Daredevil. Wow. I wanted these covers just because it's such a sweet storyline in Daredevil. These are not for sale, right? They weren't to sell. These were for me, for my personal collection.
Display it on your wall.
Display it and keep it for posterity. For me, it was worth it. I had to pay the cost to ship them all in and get them shipped back.
Right.
I would do it again.
Personal value.
Again, it's that same personal value idea. So that's really what it comes down to with grading. Should you get it graded? What's your goal? Is your goal for your display in your house? You could buy those cases that they make for these, right?
Oh yeah, I saw those.
Like you can seal them yourself and put in your own label.
Just to encapsulate?
Yeah, the other thing, honestly, is one day I will not be here anymore and my kids or my wife will have to deal with my collection. And a lot of these books, it'll be very easy for them. They don't have to navigate the collecting world. They can just Google on eBay in 2050 or whatever what a 9.6 Daredevil number 25 Marvel Comics 321 second printing goes for,
right?
And figure out what they should get for it.
Right.
That's not going to happen with a raw comic. If your family's selling your raw comics, they're going to sell them to a dealer in bulk, and they're not going to get the value they could out of it.
Right.
Which, if they're going to have to deal with my collection after I'm gone, they should. I hope they get everything they can for it.
Not me, man. My shit's going in my grave with me. Just pack it in there, burn it with me. If you're cremating me, that's just these are mine and nobody else's.
If you know Chris's wife, you know that's not going to happen.
She's going to sell everything right now. Cool. So that's that, right? Slab, blue, green,
slab or
yellow.
not slab?
Yeah.
What do you do?
If you're looking for flipping, you're looking for personal, right, or investment.
Yeah, if you're flipping, you want a yellow label
or a blue label.
You do not want a qualified label outside of Hulk 181. I'm trying to think what other big books have stamps. The 181 is the big one though. That's a huge one.
People will get that book in any grade and any in any condition. Yeah.
Was that one guy? Remember you tried to buy that one? That guy was trying to scam you. Was that a green label?
No.
It was a blue label.
I think it was a purple restored label.
It was a restored label. That's right. That's right.
Again, I'd get that book.
Cash.
I'd ever get that book in any grade, in any condition.
Yeah. It was a low sell. Like, what was it at? Like $1,000 or something?
Yeah. For like a 7.0.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll take the risk.
Yeah.
It's alright. PayPal gave me my money back.
And then he started trying to get real flaky on shipping and everything. And
yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. That's probably that's one of the one labels I don't have is a purple restored one.
Yeah, I don't have one of those either.
So I would say that's another good one to be on the lookout for is the purple restored label.
So back in the day, like 60s and 70s, people were always restoring books. That was the thing, right? And then somewhere
to make it look like it did before.
Yeah, super nice looking covers, right? But then at some point after they started grading them, right? CGCs and all these grading companies were like, oh, that's different, right? People were starting to get worried about them, but that's just how it was back then, right?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the purple
Purple.
label.
If it was a key book, grail book, like I'm not gonna own this any other way, like Fantasy 15
Yeah,
kind of level, right?
Sure.
I'll take that. I'll take that in a 0.5 any label.
yeah. I mean, I did all these stupid Daredevil covers. Like if I was gonna get a Daredevil 1, and like some random kid colored on it in crayon, I'd probably like, I'm still gonna buy it. So I think the purple label in that case, I'd probably still go for.
Right. Again, it's what's the value to you, right?
Yeah.
And if I would had Daredevil 1, I'd never sell that either way. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a PC book.
I wouldn't buy a purple label for my collection. I wouldn't buy a purple label to flip. I
to
would buy
sell.
it for my collection.
Yeah.
I have seen people's success stories doing that, getting a restored book. There's actually a special section of CGC now which will remove restoration,
All right.
and you can hopefully get
Blue label.
a blue label after.
Yeah.
That's that's sketch.
Risque.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you guys have any questions about, these labels and, any suggestions, comment below.
Hit us up in the comments.
Mhm.
And we'll see you guys next time.